My favourite artist or group, that's another difficult question. Recently I've been into the music of James Taylor. Although he's very much from my era, I never knew him when I was a teenager, and only discovered him really through the Kingsingers arrangement of That Lonesome Road, and then through researching his music and doing some of my own arrangements of his pieces like You Can Close Your Eyes. And he really does sing from the heart, and I recently got hold of his, or rather Paul gave me very kindly, his live album One Man Band, and although it's just him on guitar and a pianist, it's a beautifully put together album full of great songs.
So who's your favourite artist or group?
I think that's probably a question which, if I were asked that question yesterday, I might give you a different answer, but being asked that question today, and something that's fresh in my mind from music that I've listened to today, it would have to be Joni Mitchell, whose music I've enjoyed for, well, probably 25 years, and whose music constantly remains a companion in my life, and whose music I find a great inspiration, particularly the music that she's written in more recent years, which has been orchestrated, and it always moves me when I listen to it.
I have on my iPod a quite varied list of music, a lot of it classical. I love the singing of this American soprano Sylvia McNair. I think she's a fantastic singer. And there's a wonderful jazz singer called Nancy Lamont, who was a New York-based singer who sadly died very early in her life, in her early 40s. She had cancer and died probably 12, 13 years ago. I was very lucky. We were up in Tanglewood at the summer festival there, and it was within a year before she died, and we were up there performing, and some friends were due to be up there, and we went down to New York to do a recording and came back. And the others all flew home. I went back up to Tanglewood and spent a long weekend there and went to some wonderful concerts. Went to hear a chamber music performance done by Itzhak Perlman and Emanuel Ax, and that was actually the first time I met Emanuel Ax, who we later worked with. That was a wonderful concert. But that same evening I went with the friends to hear this jazz singer who I'd never heard of, who one of the friends was a great fan of, and to hear her live was amazing. She did a wonderful set in a club, and it was fantastic, and I immediately went out and bought all her albums, and I still listen. I will always have one of her albums in the CD changer in the car. I think she's got a most wonderfully natural jazz voice, and so although she's not very well known, I think she gets my vote.
My favourite artist, that's really tough. Off the top of my head, it changes every day, but I went to see Billy Joel in concert in Las Vegas a few years ago with my wife, and that was possibly the most amazing live pop experience of my life. He's fantastic. He's a great composer, great pianist, great singer, great performer in general. I'm a big fan of the English group Massive Attack, who really developed a whole new genre of music, dance and electronic music in the 90s and beyond. And in the classical world, I'm a big fan of Renee Fleming. I think she's got a fantastic voice, and she's a lovely person too. And we've been very privileged to work with Eric Whittaker, and I think he's a fantastic choral composer. So those are a few, but if you ask me tomorrow, you'll get 4 completely different answers.
The most prevalent and the most important artist that I admire would have to be the German countertenor Andreas Scholl, who really started my interest in this type of voice. I used to work in a music store in sunny Chelmsford, and it was at that time, 10-15 years ago, when Andreas Scholl came to being, and I got all of his recordings, and I just could not stop listening to this incredible timbre voice. So that's be the one, Andreas Scholl.
My favourite artists, well, they haven't changed for many years. My favourite group, in my teenage years, it was the Kingsingers, and I had a programme signed from a concert I went to in Bradford's City Hall in about 1999, and I put this above my bed, and I remained a fan throughout my teenage years. I also am a big fan of the group Queen with Freddie Mercury. Solo artists, I think Fisher Discow, Benjamin Luxon, both wonderful solo baritones, and I'm also a lover of the singing of Margaret Price. I think they all appear on my top 10 iTunes list that we were asked to do by iTunes. I think it's probably still there if you want to search it out, but yeah, they're my favourite. They're people who still move me when I listen to their records. Ooh.